Hey everybody, Adam Savage in one of my happiest places. I am at Prop Store down in Los Angeles with my friend Brandon Allinger. How are you,
Hey Adam,
sir?
welcome back.
Thank you so much. We have a couple of absolutely iconic pieces to talk about that are in this upcoming auction.
Yeah, these couple of good ones here. This is going to be sold in the June auction, June 28th to June 30th.
Dude. So this is a Rick Deckard
Yes.
suit with a shirt, and this is Princess Leia's Yavin dress?
Yes, this is from the end medal ceremony. This is the one of one, the only dress made. Even the belt is original. And
The belt original?
Maybe my favorite part, actually, the belt.
Because honestly, I was thinking there's no way this shiny vinyl or whatever that might be could be original because it would have deteriorated.
It's totally it. You can pull up black and white production photos from her, look at those wrinkles and the
they
leather.
match?
Like a fingerprint.
That is
100%. Yeah.
Is this leather then?
I think it is leather.
That would be why it's
Yeah.
not deteriorated.
And I don't know if it's been sprayed with something. I don't know how they got the finish on it.
Wow.
And then the aluminum plates.
The aluminum plates that are like so clearly hand machined. Okay, so
Look, you see that little horizontal scratch right
Yeah.
there? You see that on camera and in the photos. Just untouched, unchanged, the scratch, there it is. 47 years later.
have you guys handled this piece before? Has this come through your...
So we've been aware of this piece for a number of years. The story is this was found with a crew member about 10-ish years ago in the UK. It was literally in an old plastic garment bag where it had lived for many years.
And no one knew where it was before that?
No Star Wars fans or collectors knew, certainly. Yeah. I mean, this one individual knew. But he had rescued it. You know, it was slated to be destroyed, as so much stuff was from Star Wars.
Yeah.
And he said, well, look, this is neat. I'm going to save it. Not necessarily because he thought it would have great monetary value or even really for posterity, just because he was a fan of the film himself and had been involved. And he told stories that after Star Wars, someone wore it to a fancy dress party, and there was dirt, there was grime, there was actually a little bit of wine and even a little bit of blood on the dress when it was found.
Oh my God.
So to get it to the state that's in now, it underwent a lengthy restoration process with professional conservators in the UK.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, I can't believe that's amazing. Blood and wine.
I mean, it's amazing what happens to these things after production. It's, you know, they were certainly not considered museum artifacts at that time.
It must have been a thrill when you realized that you could screen match every little detail.
Absolutely. I remember the first time Steven came across and he sent me a photo of it, and he just said, do you think this is it? And I saw the belt, and I was like, with a belt like that, it sure seems like it could be it. And then when we got into it and started studying it and studying the photos, you could match the wrinkles in leather. You could match some of the creases right here, the way that all comes together.
Yeah.
And then we actually went and talked to John Mallow, the costume designer, and he said, to the best of my recollection, we only ever made one of those. Because it's not a big scene. You know?
Right, it's a one shot,
shoot.
couple shots, yeah. I'm also curious, it's a beautiful piece. It looks to be in absolutely perfect condition. The restoration, I mean, I'm really fascinated by what they did.
Look at like this sort of, see a little bit
Oh,
of wear
they've
and
done
tear
some
there.
rebuilding, I
Yeah,
see.
so basically, I think they call it infilling the process of basically backing it with a very similar fabric so that it doesn't appear to have holes in it.
Right.
Because it's an incredibly light fabric. you know,
Yeah, it's
extremely sheer.
probably also a little stretchy.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two things strike me. One is how tiny Carrie Fisher
I know,
was.
because this is on a riser.
Right,
Yeah.
no, I know. Absolutely tiny. But secondly, it's a really refined mount. Tell me about the mount.
Yeah, no, that's a good observation. Same team who did all the restoration work. And by the way, this was a big process. I mean, you know about restoration. It's not something you can do overnight. I think this was with them for 8 or 9 months.
Crawling over every single centimeter.
Exactly. I mean, the deep cleaning, there was stitching that had to be repaired, and then ultimately had to figure out how to A, get it to look good, but B, preserve it for the future.
Right.
Which means, you know, stabilizing it in the best possible way, not having too much weight on any part of the garment.
Oh, so this is actually part of protecting it, is distributing its weight as if it's on a body.
Yes, yeah. And I believe this form is entirely custom made in fiberglass. They may have started with a base form, but it is made to fit this dress specifically.
That's amazing. Oh, I see there's clasps on one side so it could be fitted onto her.
Yeah, really high quality work. The group that did this is Janie Lightfoot, textile restoration and conservation. They do work for the big museums in the UK, like the Victoria and Albert Museum.
Oh, wow. Oh.
They work on costumes and outfits from hundreds of years ago, worn by British royalty. That sort of thing. So.
Back when I replicated Nelson's Trafalgar uniform, it was being restored, and I have whoever was doing it might have been those guys.
Could have been.
Have amazing photos of the insides. It was how I did a lot of my reference work.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
This is crazy. I mean, it really looks like it was worn yesterday.
I mean, to me, it's just like it pops out immediately. You know exactly what it is. It's literally the last thing that you see in Star Wars as the frame is closing out and going to the George Lucas director credit.
Right.
This is the center of the frame that they're
see.
dissolving out of. And for it to be a one of a kind, I mean, just what an amazing thing to exist. I don't actually know if any of her other dress, the dress she wears through a lot of the film with the hood, I don't know if any examples of that still exist. So this may be the only Carrie Fisher dress from the first film that's still out there. Amazing.
And equally amazing is I never thought I'd see Deckard's suit, both pieces in one place. This is what he's wearing in the Voight Kampf scene with Rachel.
Are you a Blade Runner fan?
Just a little
Have you
bit.
seen that movie?
A couple times.
Yeah, this is the exact jacket from the Voight Kampf scene. There's literally, if you come and look over here, there's a little brown thread that looks like a fish hook, kind of like a J.
Yeah.
You see that on camera.
No
exactly
way.
like that.
No way.
In the 4K version, we went in and studied the frame grabs. You see that exactly. It is this exact jacket that was worn in that scene, and then also worn in the baddie fight. You see how dirty it is.
Yeah.
And this blood, which you never see real clearly in the fight, but you do see at the very end of the movie when he goes back to get Rachel.
Yeah.
You see the blood on the lapel. But a lot of times in the fight, you're not seeing that because he's wearing the overcoat on top of it.
Right. Oh
and you know the plot point here.
No. What is it? So he's missing a little bit here.
So this is, you don't really see it clearly on camera, but after Batty breaks his fingers, he puts together a makeshift splint.
Oh, this is the cloth that Deckard tears to tie around his fingers.
Yeah.
Ah!
And you don't really see that on camera, but if you look closely at the cloth, you'll see it's this triangle pattern fabric.
Holy shit.
And you'll see actually a few shots where you can see it like this. So it's one of those story points that they put in, but they don't put it in that clearly. Somebody thought about it on set and went like, well, where's he going to get a splint for his fingers, you know?
Holy cow. Tell me, these three pieces haven't been living together for all these years, have they?
Well, the Blade Runner costume has.
It has?
The same collector has owned it since the 80s. We had never seen it or heard of it.
Oh, phenomenal.
Every now and then you get a phone call and someone says, I have something, and you kind of go, well, this is going to be amazing if they really have it, or it's going to be nothing.
Yeah.
And this one was amazing. So, and by the way, how about the shoes?
Yeah, so tell
Deckard
me, shoes are original as well?
Original shoes, yeah. Also from the fight sequence. I studied them very carefully. No markings whatsoever. So they must be some kind of like...
Even the soles?
Nothing.
What?
They must be some kind of Brand X shoe.
Are you kidding me?
Imitation type of shoe.
That's enraging.
Well, yeah. They kind of look like an Adidas, but they're not. They're, off-brand.
Wow.
So,
just some...
probably something
off the shelf of a
cheap.
costumer.
Yeah, I mean, they probably went down to downtown LA and just dug through shops and found some stuff. You know?
The actual damage detail are actually so beautiful.
Yeah, it's sort of more interesting to look at than a clean version would be.
Oh, 100%. And you've got it on a slightly short mannequin. I think Harrison's about an inch taller.
Okay, well, you've hung out with him more than I have, so
no,
you tell me.
I've only met him once, but. I mean, just we were going through the catalog and talking about stories to do, and these two pieces are so crazy iconic, and they're in such phenomenal condition to tell the story of what they did.
Yeah. No, I mean, we love costumes. Costumes have so much presence as compared to, look, we love hand props too, but hand props frequently small. They're great to go on your desk, table, whatever. But when you have a costume set up on a mannequin in a room, your eye just leaps to it anytime you're in the room. And so these, wherever they wind up next, are going to be fantastic treasures for someone.
Now, I'm curious about your customer service. When you sell one of these at auction, do you offer the mannequin, or does a collector maybe come to you and say, I really want a nice mount for this? You help them with the mount?
It's a good question, yeah, because I mean, displaying this stuff is a big part of the process, and it's challenging. You know,
Right.
It's challenging to do
I mean,
well.
I'm assuming this mount comes with the dress because of its
been custom
speciality.
made for
right.
it. This is one of our stock mannequins, so it wouldn't necessarily come with it as a standard thing. If someone reached out and said, "I've got to have that mannequin," probably something could be worked out.
Right,
you know?
right.
I think it's more important when you have something like this, where it's got to be custom. Or sometimes the spacesuits, we have to have people go in and build custom mannequins because you just can't get them to look normal.
Well, because they're so heavy, you need an actual armor stand to a certain extent.
Yeah. But mannequins and costumes is a big part of the process, and it's
hard to dress a mannequin to look good.
Yeah.
You guys are always doing it, and I don't compliment you enough because I find dressing costumes on mannequins to be the biggest pain in the ass to get the gesture right. And you guys do a wonderful job at it.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. We like to start with neutral mannequins, which can be hard to find also.
Yeah.
A lot of mannequins in department store poses, they don't.
They're all action. Yeah.
Right.
Brandon, they're amazing pieces. Thank you so much for letting me see them up close.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just incredible.